Be very careful when you unleash a dragon, because the dragon may come back to burn you. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to KRSTV. This is your boy Kenny. Now remember, subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you can get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, follow all the information I have in the description box. As well, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. Now, this is Ambition Season 1, Episode 15, and the name of this episode is Blood on the Dance Floor. This was a really good episode, and I must say, a whole bunch of shit is going down on Ambitions, and I'm so here for all of it. So, first things first, we begin where they left off. We find out that Perla has been working with no other than Irene Carlisle, Stephanie's mother. Pretty much, what ends up happening is that Perla gets in the car with Irene. They go back and forth and everything. And we come to find out Irene hired Perla to to dismantle Bella and Evan's relationship. And pretty much, Irene was she wasn't holding back. She was like, "You incompetent bitch. I hired you to drive a wedge between that slut friend of yours and my son-in-law. And you decided to do kidnapping instead? What the hell were you thinking?" And then Perla reveals that was Eddie's idea. He thought we could make a bigger score. And she's like, "Yeah, and how did that work out for him?" Yep. And then she was like, then all of a sudden Perla starts talking like, "Well, that's okay, because I'm gonna make sure I make Bella and Evan pay." And like Irene was like, "Are your brain cells functioning?" Like, honey, Evan's people, if they do find out who it is, they're gonna shoot first and ask questions later. And the rate you going, I might kill you myself. And then all of a sudden, Inez was like, Perla was like, "Yeah, right." Irene looked at her and was like, "Try me." I'm like, you don't want to fuck with Irene. Irene is a smooth criminal. She's probably more smoother than Stephen Carlisle. Like, she's vicious. And then Irene begins to tell her, like, what kind of woman would sell out her so-called best friend? And then Perla was like, and what kind of old bird, rich as you are, how is it that Evan and Bella are making a fool out of your daughter right up under her stuck-up nose? Oh, Irene said, "Honey, you say anything else about Stephanie and I will slit your throat from ear to ear, bitch." And then before she lets her go, she says, "Oh yeah, and you mention the Carlisles to any of this bullshit that you done concocted, I'll make good on my promise. Now get the hell out." I was like, Irene showed the hell out, and we just see that Perla is, as she's always been, pretty much a bottom-feeding bitch. So then we get a scene with Titus and Amara. They are having a session of late night and early mornings, like the song. And they're just celebrating that, they're getting Damien out of their lives and all of that. But I'm like, y'all celebrating way too damn soon. And I was spot on, because the next scene we see that Damien is being questioned by the FBI, and they are going in on him because they got everything on him. And they said, it's about a matter of time we're going to figure out that you the one who set up their surveillance up in our house. And then we catch you butt naked about to sexually assault her in the shower. Like, And then we got this guy, I think his name is Jerry, who's an attorney. He shows up, pretty much shuts everything down, and pretty much says that, I would like my client released immediately. So, and you just see in Damien's face, he cocky as hell. Like this shit ain't gonna stick. And trust and believe, Damien showed out this episode. So hold on with me. I'm gonna get to all the shit. All right. So then we get a scene with Stephanie, and we meet the guy Rashid. Now Rashid, the actor, actually is on the show Sisters on BET. Tyler Perry. And it's cool seeing him in this role. He's playing one of her new private investigators, and she gives him Joaquin's cap and one of Evan's razors and say, "Get the DNA on this." Um, then we get a scene with Inez and Bella. Um, Inez is pissed, and rightfully so, because this whole thing with the whole kidnapping of Joaquin, Inez was the last person that was notified about what happened, so she is pissed. And even more so that Evan and Perla knew about it before she did. And then she asks, "Where is Joaquin?" This bitch Bella tells her he's with Inez at the park. And I'm like, the very same person that actually set up the kidnapping of your son, you still putting your child out, but it just goes to show she has no fucking clue that her so-called best friend set up that whole attempt to get her son kidnapped, mainly because she hates her, and one, she's trying to make a come up off of Bella. And then she asks, "Well, did they find the kidnappers?" Bella tells her, "Yeah, they caught one, but they're still looking for the other one." I'm like, "Yeah, and the other one is with your son right now as we speak. Your crazy ass." But that scene, yeah, Inez was not holding back. And rightfully so, because that's his grandmother. If anybody should have been notified, definitely it should have been Inez. So then we get a scene down at Thelma's restaurant with Rondell and Evan. Rondell got all the signatures she needs for the injunction, and a lot of them came through because of, seniors passing. And she's like, "It's one thing that I gotta fight to save my community, but now we gotta fight Darcia." And I have to say, Darcia came in and Darcia looked clean. She looked really good. That purple look on her. Yes, Darcia looked good. She got painted up and everything. Came in there and started to show her ass and talk her shit. Evan pretty much gives her a check. She's like, "Oh, if that's that damn $5,000, you can keep that shit." And he was like, "No, it's 500,000. All I have to do is make a call and it'll be all there." And she was like, "Well, it's funny because since I've been here, I've been learning a lot about land development, and this whole thing with land development, there's a lot more money in it than I thought. Who knows? I was also finding out, remember that guy you told me about, Greg Peters, Rondell? Maybe I need to call him and see what he got to say. Maybe he'll offer me a little bit more." And then she goes to tell Evan, "Yeah, remember, when my daddy died and I lost my house?" And he was like, "Yeah, and I remember you had all them damn gambling decks and you came here, came to me begging for help." And she's like, "Yeah, I lost my family's home and you with your rich ass didn't do a damn thing to help me." And he's like, "It ain't my fault you lost the house." She's like, "Yeah, maybe, but it will be your fault if you lose Thelma's place." And then she walked out, and then Rondell was like, "I'll whoop her ass." I'm like, and from the looks of it, you probably gonna have to, because Darcia ain't going nowhere, and Darcia showed her royal ass this episode. So let's keep it moving. Then we actually come to find out that Jerry, the guy that's the attorney for Damien, he was sent there by Stephanie. So him being Damien's attorney got him off. He got bail. And then pretty much, Stephanie was like, "Yeah, I want to keep Damien around. He's a necessary evil." But then Jerry lets it be known that, "Yeah, I bailed him out, but as far as the trial, with all this evidence, I don't know if I can, get rid of that. I mean, it's already fact. I mean, they found him butt naked, about to go into Amara's, shower. So, those charges are gonna stick." But Stephanie says, "Make them go away." So we see there that it was Stephanie that got the lawyer for Damien. So as I said, she unleashed the dragon. So then we see Perla with, I think the guy's name is Peter. He's one of Evan's guys. He pretty much confronts Perla and lets her know, I know it was you. And he pulled pictures of her and Eddie together that was like online or whatever. She was saying that, yeah, you didn't know that we found pics of you two together. And all of a sudden we see that Perla's shook because her shit has been exposed. But then Perla's like, so what are you gonna do? He says, I'm gonna tell the boss. He needs to know this. And she's like, well, maybe we can work out another option. Next thing you know, because they're in Bella's loft. They up in Bella's bed, knocking boots, honey. He is tearing her up in the bed. And then this pathetic bitch gonna start talking, oh, I've always wanted to sleep and I always wanted to have sex in Bella's bed. Call me Bella. And then the guy was like, yeah, if you call me Mr. Mayor. And they're going back and forth. She's like, oh, yes, Mr. Mayor. It's like, you like that, Bella? Huh? And I'm like, oh my God, bitch, you are pathetic. You are so behind Bella's shadow that you are willing to do any and everything because you really want to be her. And it's sad because you don't even got enough love for yourself. And that's why you're doing all this shit. Pathetic slut. Anyway, let me keep it going. Then we see that Stephanie does an interview about, about that email that got leaked from Hunter Purifoy. And she was just showing her ass in the interview. She's like, oh, yes, we're going to get to the bottom of this, so we can bring justice to the community. And she just kept doing these little poses and the way she was looking. Robin Givens, you are doing your thing on this show. I was laughing my ass off. I was like, look at Stephanie go. Stephanie is showing her royal ass, and then we go to Amara's job, and I think she was talking. She was talking to I think Titus, and he's like, how the hell did he make bail? And then Jerry Lanigan is his lawyer. How the hell did he swing that? Because Jerry's a high-powered attorney. So then after she gets off the phone, she meets up with Daphne, and she was saying that, why is it that, the FBI keep harassing me? And she's like, I don't have anything for you. And Amara's like, I want to show you something. She gives her a picture of Natasha Petrovic, who's Greg Peters' cousin. And she's saying that, yeah, that was the woman who's disguised as a nurse, and pretty much, so the people that you so-called protecting, they don't feel the same way about your ass because not once but twice they try to take your life. And then she mentions that Greg Peters' real name is Gregor Petrovic, and then pretty much she lets her know about Natasha, that Natasha done hit motherfuckers in Russia, Brazil, and Zimbabwe, and now she's crossed over to the States. And she's worse than Greg. And one thing that she's known for is that she never leaves a job unfinished. But then, Daphne's like, but why is she after me? And Amara tells her, because you took bribes from her cousin and she's afraid you're going to talk to the authorities. Which is hence what you're doing right now. But she says that, look, I can protect you, but in order for me to do that, I'm going to need name, dates, and transactions. And then she was about to I'm getting up out of here. Amara gives her Herschel's suicide note, and she's mentioned in the suicide note. And then before she goes, she lets Daphne know, think about my offer. And also about the 2 times Natasha tried to kill you. So we're going to leave it there. Then we see Titus comes into Purifoy Pharmaceuticals. There's a protest with all of these black bodies who are bloody laying around. Pretty much saying that, Purifoy kills black people. And they're all over the place. And then one of the people threw actual red paint onto Titus, and pretty much says that your company kills people. So Titus is now dealing with all of the backlash that has happened since Hunter's email has been made public. Then we get another scene at Thelma's restaurant. Darcia is up in there running the shit as if she's Rondell. And she's being really nasty to the employees, telling them, I want fried okra, not that boiled okra bullshit. And then Inez, stepped up to her and was like, dude, don't talk to people like that. And she's like, excuse me, little miss thing, I'll talk to anybody the way I want to talk to them. And then all of a sudden we see that finally Rondell shows up and she's caused all this stuff. And, Rondell and Darcia go back and forth. Rondell takes off the earrings. Now, that's a code that there's an ass whooping about to go down. When you see a black girl take off them earrings, it's about to go down. And Rondell lets Darcia know that, Evan is actually looking to contest the will, and then your ass gonna be back in Chicago dancing in your shack with your dirty ass thong. I was like, you better get her ass, Rondell. And then she told her that, look, you got two ways you're gonna get up out of here, either on your own 2 feet or on a stretcher. Which one is gonna be? And damn, Darcia was like, honey, cousin, you don't know the kind of hell I can rain down on your life. And then, because even like when Darcia and Inez was going back and forth, she called her a fake ass Rosie Perez and all this shit. I'm like, Darcia was literally up in there being an evil bitch. Like, she was just literally disrespecting the employees. And then when they was about to square up, the Inez and another guy got right behind Rondell like, yeah, bitch, we'll all take you. Because she done pissed off everybody. So she kind of threatened Rondell saying, you don't know the kind of hell I can rain down on your life. And Rondell's like, well, bring it. I already got hell. And I got my daddy's shotgun. So we saw that go down. Then we get a scene with Ignacio and Bella. Remember, I forgot to mention, I think my last video, where they had their exchange and she was now pushing Ignacio's advances away. I mean, mainly because while she was screwing you, her son got kidnapped right under her nose. And, we also know that Ignacio got some sinister shit going on, because after that, he had called somebody and said that, look, we got to make this deal go through. She was kind of standoffish, but I now got her back on track. So now, in this episode, she shows him her business plan, for the airport concession stand, because that was the agreed that she would get the airport concession stand, with her new deal with Corazon Textiles. Oh, Ignacio's like, well, honey, you're going to have to increase your inventory if you want to get, if you actually want to get a location, And then pretty much, if anything, this definitely threw Bella off. She's like, well, I was promised this. Evan told me he talked to Valentina. And he was like, yeah, and, I don't know nothing about that. And besides, my mother wouldn't even give Bella True a second look. I'm the reason why you have a contract with Corazon Textiles. And she was like, and then like Bella was like, well, I want to hear this from Valentina herself. Why can't I hear from her? And he was like, you know what? This meeting's over. And he just upped and dipped. And I'm like, see, that's what happens when you mix business with pleasure. Because you can definitely tell that Ignacio was in his feelings, because he want to get some more of that Bella True. But Bella ain't giving him no more of the boom, boom, boom. So he all in his feelings. But she finds out even more about the situation. So let's keep it moving. And I was like, bitch, you is salty because you ain't getting no more of that pom-pom. All right, so then we get the showdown between Evan and Amara. Pretty much, they discuss Greg Peters. And then, Amara's like, so you're the reason why Daphne's not cooperating. And then Evan's like, well, maybe she ain't got nothing to say. But she was like, well, according to Herschel, she did. So she presents him with the suicide note. And he's like, now, this is admissible in court. This is a typed, right? This is like a typed suicide note. Herschel's wife had found it and gave it to Amara, and she presented it to him. And he was like, this ain't gonna go nowhere, girl. Really? Try again. And she was like, you know what? Your house of cards is tumbling down. But we can kind of tell Evan is kind of turned on by Amara because Amara is hardcore, and you know Evan loves he loves this cat and mouse thing that's going on between them. Because as soon as he left, he kind of gave that look like, yeah, he gonna probably try to get at Amara's ass. So Amara, watch yourself. You're gonna have another situation. You're gonna have another Damien Collins situation dealing with that one because that's a crazy one too. But as soon as she leaves his office, trip this. Jerry Lanigan, the attorney, is sitting in the damn hallway. And she runs into him and she says, you owe me an apology. That you would, get Damien out of jail after what he did to me. And how is he able to afford your retainer? And then all of a sudden, Bell starts clicking and he's there to see Evan because they're old buddies at Harvard. And that's how Stephanie knows him as well. So all of a sudden, we see that Amara's brain starts working. She's like, these motherfuckers probably had something to do with it, and I got to make the connection. So we see that Damien finally returns home after getting out of jail. He gets a call from an unknown number, and it's Stephanie. And he was like, wow, my favorite uptight first bitch. And she pretty much tells him that, look, you need to leave Atlanta for good. I'll have money there for you. But he's like, but come on, the job's not done. And he was like, so what? So why you want me to go so bad? Why, you come to your senses that I will expose your little operation? But then Stephanie flips it back and was like, well, you could stay here for trial, and you know how they are with former prosecutors who get locked up, especially ones pretty as you. So yeah, you're gonna leave town, and we're done with that. And as soon as she hangs up the phone, Rashid shows up with the DNA results. And I kind of see that Rashid got eyes for her too, but but then again, I would understand because Rashid is fine. He is fine. And he gives her the DNA results, and then we see the next thing we see that Damien, it goes back to Damien. Damien's on the laptop literally looking at Amara's case, and he gets a knock, and it's Amara with the FBI. And pretty much she confronts Damien and lets it be known, I know you're working with Stephanie Lancaster. She got you from Birmingham, to come up here to get in between me and Titus' marriage. And it sounds like something she would do because she's petty and vindictive and all of that. But the question is, why the hell would you go along with it? She must got something on you. Yes, she does. And he was like, I came back because I loved you. I wanted to make, our love work and all of that. And, then he tells her, I'm here no matter what it takes or what I have to do. Bitch, hold on to that. That's a crazy motherfucker right there. And Amara was like, I hope the medication you need, that they have it in prison. And who knows? Maybe you'll find love there. I fell out. I'm like, Amara, bitch, that was some damn good shade. Because after all, didn't we see Damien, get a Slurpee from 7-Eleven with the IT boy? Slurpee, Slurpee. There we go. So then we see that Daphne goes to Evan, saying that, I'm getting really paranoid now because that girl, Natasha, I'm seeing her everywhere I go. And Evan completely flips the script on her, and he's like, what do you mean? You're saying you're seeing Greg's cousin everywhere? Are you unwell? And she's like, you son of a bitch. You said you would protect me. And she's like, yeah. And also, this whole situation with the legal sign-offs that you did on these buildings between you and Herschel. Now Amara thinks that has something to do with me when that is not the case. And he's like, and if you want protection, you're going to have to seek proper authorities. So he completely blows her off. Then we see that Stephanie finally goes to Irene and tells her mother that the DNA results show that, that Joaquin is Evan's son. And of course, Irene is just sitting there, cool, calm, collected, because she's a smooth criminal. And she's like, yeah, but you'll survive this, Stephanie. She's like, oh yeah, I will, but I can't say the same for Evan. So then we see that Evan goes to Bella's house looking for Bella and Joaquin, but they're gone. But Perla's old stinking ass is still there, and she looked freshly fucked and was feeling herself. And you know, pretty much Evan looks through Bella's business book. She's like, so I see that she's back in business. She's like, oh yeah, she's about to get that airport concession stand, new business and a new lover. And he's like, who are you talking about? And she says, Ignacio de Santos. And then all of a sudden, when he leaves, and all of a sudden, the guy that she just screwed is right there with him. And all of a sudden, she goes leaving. She's like, bye, Mr. Mayor. And he kind of smiles at her. I'm like, you weak ass fool. I'm like, here it is, he kidnapped his son, and yet you're letting this bitch still breathe because she gave you some puss. Obviously, her shit must be good. Because I'm like, I was feeling that even though he got her, he was going to give her up anyway. And who knows? Her days are numbered. So, Perla, you ain't got that long, bitch. Anyway. So then, we get a scene with Titus and Amara. He's talking about his whole situation down at Purifoy. He got blood thrown on him one day, and then people were throwing pills at him the next. And he's just dealing with a whole bunch of crazy shit. He's saying that, so Amara was like, well, why don't you just quit? And he's like, I need to get to the bottom of this, and I can't leave until I do. And then she also tells him about the situation with Daphne, and then also that guy Jerry, the lawyer, and that he's friends. He went to college with Stephanie and Evan, and he was the actual lawyer that got Damien out. And she was like, "Do you?" So then Titus was like, "Do you really think Stephanie is working with Damien?" And she was like, "I know it. I just have to prove it." So then we get a scene with Bella and Evan. When Evan come up in there, he lets it be known. He's like, you just can't keep your legs closed, huh? And she was like, yeah. So it's like, oh, so you screwing the son? Did you actually think that was going to make it better, or that was going to bring you closer to Valentina? Really, what the hell were you thinking? And then he drops the bomb. Valentina actually has dementia, and she's being waited on by some loyal servants somewhere in South America, and Ignacio's been running the company as if he's her. So she's now realizing her has been duped, but then she was saying that, but it's even more so, Ignacio has a brother, Martin. Martin are like, Martin and Ignacio like Cain and Abel. They are rival enemies, and they have both been fighting for controlling stocks of Corazon Textiles, and Ignacio got the short end of the stick. And he's like, oh yeah, and why don't you think about that the next time you're on all fours? I was like, Evan, you are simple as shit. But I was so laughing at that. And he says, oh yeah, and the next time your little extracurricular activities gets in the way of our son, I will take him away from you for good. And then she pretty much said, that'll be the last thing you ever do. I'm like, bitch, he right in this situation. I'm team Evan in this point, because you screwing Ignacio, your son was taken right up under your nose. And now you realize that Ignacio ain't this powerful person that you thought he was, and that he's really on some bullshit. And that's who you gave your poom poom to. Pity the fool. Anyway, so then we finally see that Daphne comes to Amara, and she decides to make the deal, and that she'll put Daphne and her husband in a safe house, but she has to tell everything on Greg as well as the mayor. So now she's going to start singing like a canary. Then Stephanie walks into her office, and guess what? Damien Collins' ass is up in there making him a cocktail. And she was saying that, what the hell are you doing here? I told your ass to leave town. He was like, really? You only gave me $200,000. And she was like, that's enough to start you a new life somewhere. He was like, yeah, but it's not enough. I'm keeping it though, but I'm not going anywhere. And he was like, yeah, and I'm not jumping bail. I can beat those charges, go back to my career, and I can have a future with Amara. She's like, oh my God, you are really unhinged. And he was like, huh. And she called security. And she was like, he pretty much lets her know, if you do anything, and I mean anything, to try to take me down, I will ruin you. So security come and escorts him out, and we come to find out, just like he was placing cameras up in Amara's house, he done placed one in Stephanie's office. So as I said, sometimes when you unleash the dragon can come back to burn you. So now the same shit he was doing to them, he's now gonna be doing to Stephanie's ass. And then all of a sudden you just see him, and he goes in the elevator and was like, yo, shout out to Alex Musak, who plays Damien. He's a good actor. I love him because he was really playing the fuck out of this shit. Because Damien is unhinged and he's about to bring hell to everybody, including Stephanie. So, and I think next week they have 2 episodes, so double reviews. So I can't wait. So, if I missed anything, put it down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. So until next time, everybody, take care.